everybody? How are you today? Welcome to Harvest Group Institute web series. I'm here with O'Neal Catnell.
What's up, world? Glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. We're definitely doing some things here with the Harvest Group, and grab a pen and paper. We're going to get into a really good instructional discussion that will definitely benefit you today. So thank you again for staying in contact, staying in tune with us, and being a part of this wonderful journey that we're on.
Absolutely. Well, guys, what we have noticed in life, in our own lives, and in the lives of those who we have an opportunity to mentor and to coach and to speak in front of, when it comes to being successful, whether it's in your marriage, in your finances, on your job, as a parent, in friendships and relationships, anything that you're trying to be successful in, you have to have a high level of influence in your life and in your relationships. As we talked about a few weeks ago, relationship equity, the ability to leverage the relationships in your life to reach certain things and outcomes as far as what success is for you. The only way to do that is to have some influence. And influence, in a nutshell or at its base level, is having the ability to get people to move in your direction. That's what influence is. Move in the direction that I need you to go. And usually that's in a direction that is mutually beneficial for all parties. Right. Otherwise it becomes manipulation and using people. So we wanted to really hit influence really hard. I come across people who want to make things happen and they don't know how. They talk to their friends and they won't support them. They talk to their neighbors and they won't support them. They can't get their wife to move in their direction, their kids to move in their direction. They can't get their boss to move in their direction. Well, what direction would you need your boss to move in? A raise, a promotion. They can't get people to move in their direction to make that thing that they want to happen, happen. And what happens is, because you're not able to do that, you really start to talk more about what you meant to do than what actually happened. You start to talk about what your intentions were opposed to what your fruit is. And I want you to write this down, guys. In order to increase your influence, to make things move in the direction you need them to move in, you must understand the difference between fruit and intentions. There is a difference. You must understand the difference between fruit, your ability to make something come into fruition, and intentions, which is what you wished would happen, what you meant to do, but what didn't actually happen. And what I mean by that is this. Let's take, for instance, I remember when I was little, I stomped on my sister's foot just because I thought it was fun to do. I'm the oldest of 10 kids, and we just did silly stuff as kids. And I remember I stomped on her foot, and I believe I broke her toe. And I remember my dad asking me, "Why did you do that?" And my answer to him was, "I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do that. That was not my intention." And he said, "But that's what happened. And because that's what's happened, it costs us money. It costs us time. We got to take her to the doctor, all these different things." Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, what I meant to do didn't really matter. What actually happened is the thing that we had to deal with. Put it like this: you're on your way to work, something happens to it, you're late.
Right.
"Well, boss, I didn't mean to be late today." But you were. He doesn't pay you to mean to get to work on time. He pays you to get to work on time. And so many times we don't want to look at the bottom line fruit of a thing. Not what you meant to do, not what you're trying to do, what actually happened. And the day that I decided to do that, it changed my world around. I was able to increase my ability to produce fruit. I was able to increase in my ability to make a lot of things happen because I stopped focusing on what I meant to do and only focused on what I did do.
Right.
And I stopped lying to myself. I look at families. You got a man that's going to work every day and trying to make life move for his family. And actually, the first time I got these concepts, a friend of mine told me, she said, I can't get my wife. He was talking about his marriage. He said, I can't get my wife to believe in what I'm doing. It's like she's always complaining about what's not happening, and it's like she just don't have any respect for me. And I told him, I said, it's kind of like this, man. I said, you're a tree, and your job as a, let's say, apple tree is to have apples on it. She married you with no apples on your tree. I'm sure of that because you got married young. But now she expects apples to be there. She's hungry, emotionally, spiritually, financially, socially, and all of the different things that make up people. She's expecting your tree to have apples on it. But all you have for her are excuses of why there are not apples there. And I said, all you have, is intentions. What I'm trying is what he would tell her. I'm working on it is what he would tell her. Well, I did this and I meant for this to happen, but it didn't, is what he would tell her. And he couldn't understand why the intentions that he was giving her was not enough to fill her up. And until he stopped lying to himself and started being honest and said, you know what, I'm not producing the fruit necessary. And until he stopped giving intentions and what he meant to do, and just looked in the mirror and said, you know what, baby, I'm not producing fruit. I'm not doing for our family what needs to be done. I'm not going to make any more excuses. I'm going to focus on being able to do the thing that I need to do. And when he did that, their relationship got better. That was worthy of more respect than just feeding me lines of what I meant to do and why it's not. He began to want to earn her respect, and therein his influence started, opposed to because I'm trying, because I meant to, follow me, respect me. And then when he said, okay, baby, I am not producing the fruit I need to produce. I see that, I recognize it, I admit it. And I'm focused now on only that. Then she began to respect him. And then she began to get on his team. And then she began to move in his direction.
Let's get into the real meat and bones of it, because let's define what fruit is versus what intent is. Because most of the people that are hearing, they hear fruit and they get what you're saying. When Joseph is talking about fruit, what he's talking about is your results.
Okay, absolutely, yeah. Results. That's what fruit is.
Okay, whatever that defined results is. Your intent is your plan to get your desired results. And a lot of us have plans, and you've heard that we have grandiose plans, but how many of those plans yielded the results that you're looking for? You talked about the marriage. There was a created expectation what kind of fruits was going to be yielded. Why did she marry this man?
Right.
And obviously the results did not show because you can create a
absolutely.
great picture, but if you don't have a plan of how you're going to make things happen. And how many of us seen people with a lot of plans, a lot of great vision, but it never yielded no fruit?
Right. And
results.
every time you see them, they're talking about the next plan,
Right.
what they're meant to do.
Right. I have a grapefruit tree in my house, and some years the blossoms are just remarkable. It's covered, but the fruit yielding was so little.
Mm-hmm.
And to equate that to human life, what makes you yield fruit? To be influential, that's what people are gauging you off of. They want to see your ability to create results.
Right.
Or what have you done?
Absolutely.
And not only that, some people live off of what they've done in the past, and it
And they
still
use that,
remains.
and they try to use that for their present day fruit.
Correct. And you still have to show results today.
Yeah.
Because the past is the past, but what's relevant? Today.
Right now, today.
Right
absolutely.
now.
You will never be a fruit producer if you focus solely on give me a break because I meant to do this.
Right.
I tell people, don't give me a break. I don't want a break. I said I was going to do this. Hold me to it.
Right.
That's the only thing that gets me good at producing fruit.
Right.
It makes me responsible and it makes me accountable.
Right.
Don't let my intentions, don't let my intentions pay the bills, basically.
Yeah. The influence that we're looking at and the results that we're talking about today, guys, is this. When we're talking about influence, is your ability to get a result that can be duplicated.
Yes,
Because that's what someone is looking for. So we're talking about the influence that really creates intrinsic value in people's lives, because then you're giving them, results that they can take, and you're giving them a fruit that they can take and then create fruit in their life.
Absolutely.
That's what the influence we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. A lot of people have intent, a lot of great information, a lot of plans, a lot of stuff.
Good intentions.
But there are very few people that have the results that can be copied.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. And that gives you the ability to have influence. And as he says, why is it that people aren't not calling you back? Why is it that you don't get that phone call or
or the support that you need for the thing that you're trying to do?
Exactly. Look in the mirror and look at what you're doing, and also self-examine yourself.
Yeah.
Are you have the right intent and plan, and did it yield the right results, yield the right fruit?
Right, absolutely. And don't expect people to just give you a pass because of your intention. I'll give you another example, and then we'll go to the point number 2. I remember when my son was about 4, and he had a transformer, and he brought it to me, and he said, "Look, Daddy, it broke." And I said, "Oh my goodness!" I made a big deal. "Oh my, it broke! I can't believe it broke, man." I said, "Did you try to break it?" He said, No, it just broke." And I said, give it here. And I was excited about it. And he gave it to me, and I put it on the chair. I set it on the chair all by itself. I said, "Let's look at it." And we looked at it, and he looked at it. I said, "What is it doing?" He said, "Nothing." I said, "It's not doing nothing?" He said, "It's not doing nothing." I said, "'Cause it can't do anything. You broke it." That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy, I broke my transformer. Should have been what you said, because it didn't break on its own.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about when it comes to producing fruit. Just be honest. Don't expect people to pat you on the back because you had good intentions.
Right.
Good intentions won't keep your job. Good intentions won't keep your family fed. Good intentions doesn't keep gas in the car. Good intentions don't get people to come to your stuff to support you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what gets people to follow you and allow you to have influence in their life? Just like O'Neill said, your ability to produce fruit is what gets people to follow you. And you have to be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror, like you said.
Right.
And just deal with the reality of, I'm a man of many intentions, but little fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, guys, it's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to be sad about. There's nothing to feel, unworthy for. But it's the truth that needs to be looked at and said, so you can shift gears.
Yeah, so you can move on to the next
So you can move on to the next thing, guys.
Stop deceiving yourself.
Stop. That's the word. Stop deceiving yourself.
Yeah.
And from there, we'll say this. Number 2, write this down. So number 1, understand the difference between the ability to produce fruit, have results in your life, versus your intentions and what you meant to be. Mm-hmm. Number 2, don't deceive yourself with excuses. Apples are not oranges.
Well, most people who get mentored or coached by me, and I share helping them get the results that they're looking for and desire. They know what my mantra and what my definition of excuses is.
What's that?
Yeah, an excuse is nothing more than a well-planned lie. Because if you're known as someone with excuses, who would you follow you?
Absolutely. And the excuses that people make, I like the fact that you said it's a well-planned lie, because that's exactly what it is. And in that point, remember, don't deceive yourself with excuses. Apples are not oranges. The word deceive means you don't realize that you are. And that is kind of one of the hardest places to be. Because you're deceived, But because you're deceived, you don't know you're deceived. You think you're right, but you're not right. But you think you're right, but you're not right.
Right.
But you
Correct.
think you're right. And so,
But you know, here's the interesting thing. There comes a point where you know, and this is where it becomes dangerous. You know you have to come up with an excuse.
right.
You know, there comes a point where you are not producing any fruit, any results in your life, and then your internal conscience, you know, your subconscious is going to call you on it.
And it does, but we
Because
turn that off.
you only can turn it off for so long. Because you know, here's the thing: you are created and you are designed to fulfill some kind of predetermined purpose in
I
your life.
agree, absolutely.
So you have conflicts with that, but that will go down another path that we have to do a
And
whole
I would
nother
say,
training
right,
on.
because unfortunately, people don't realize that they've been deceived until they're like 60, 70, and they look over their life and say, "Oh my, I have allowed myself to live this life for so long."
See, there you said it. I have allowed, because guess what? I have allowed every time it rears its head up, you put a lid on it.
And really, what they do is when it rears its head up, they just describe it as something else.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we say apples are not oranges. You know, talking about this fruit that leads to influence. You know, you standing in front of an apple tree, you can call it an orange tree all day.
Yeah.
All day long. This is an orange tree. This is an orange tree. This is an orange tree. I don't have to take your word for it. It'll show up after a while.
Exactly.
As soon as the first piece of fruit shows up, this is not an orange tree. This is an apple tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see women do it all the time. They're dating some guy. He's a jerk and he's not treating them right. And they're like, no, he's not apples. He's oranges. He's not apples. He's oranges. And it's like, ma'am, this guy is apples.
But we see it with guys too.
We see it with guys too. Absolutely.
It's called an ego. You know, that's what it is.
Right.
You know, they have postured themselves and they create the illusion and the story of how great and grand they are.
Right.
The purpose it is
They describe it as
to
something else.
satisfy
Right.
a self of accomplishment,
Right.
which isn't really valid or true.
Right, and you find somebody like yourself
Mm-hmm.
who's versed in business and you know what success looks like, and you can lie to O'Neill all day long and say, "I'm apples, I'm apples, I'm apples," but you can't fool him. If you're oranges, he's going to see it because he knows how to recognize
Right.
what fruit is present before him.
Right.
You know, and so you know, I tell people all the time, don't call it what it's. You know how they say, call a spade a spade.
Pretty much.
If you know that you are not producing fruit, don't make an excuse. Just say it. I'm not producing fruit.
That's it.
You know, I tell you know, put it like this. You ever seen a girl dating a guy who's a little bit rough? And I don't mean around the edges. I mean he deals with her roughly. You know, he yells at her, he screams at her, and you got this poor girl's mama saying, "Baby, you're calling this boy apples. I'm telling you, he's oranges."
Mm-hmm.
"But mama, he's apples. He's apples. He's so sweet and he's so nice." And she says, "Baby, the fruit is not all the way mature yet, but he's gonna hit you one day."
Right.
No, mama. No, mama. He's not that kind of fruit." And she's saying, "Baby, I see the buds. He yells at you. He calls you stupid. He don't take care of you right. He calls you dumb."
Mm-hmm.
"But no, mama, no." And sure enough, one day, because she didn't have the fortitude to look it in the face and call it what it was, the fruition comes and he hits her. And then what a lot of women do? "But he loves me."
Because she's locked in
And she's
to the process.
deceived,
Right.
calling an orange an apple, calling an apple an orange. She thinks she's right, but she's not. And at the end of the day, guys, when it comes to being influential, you have to be able to recognize what is and what is not.
Right.
Don't
Clear
make
distinction.
excuses.
Having a
Absolutely.
clear distinction of what the results that you're looking for. in
And
life.
just be honest, though.
Exactly.
When I was trying to get into real estate and learn about one of my goals is to build a subdivision. I think it's really cool to say that neighborhood, I built it, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of my goals. And I've been trying to find a guy to teach me how building works and how real estate works. And every time I come across somebody who seems like they'll be the guy, it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first thought I had, this was some years ago, that, man, He won't answer my calls. Man, why won't he teach me this? I see him doing it. I know he knows how. Man, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, stop it. It ain't him, it's you. What about you makes him not value you?
Right.
He's answering somebody's phone calls. He's teaching somebody how to do this. He's
Right.
working with someone. What about you, Joseph? Makes him not want to fully invest in you. So I stopped blaming him. I just told the truth. I was honest about it. It's me unable to be influential in his life.
Right.
What is it in me?
Right.
You know, a good mentor of mine, he taught me this. He said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I had to stop calling apples oranges and say, it must be something in me that's just not ready.
Right.
So I got to go back to work on Joseph so I can be of value in that guy's world. You see what I'm saying? Opposed to making excuses and calling something that is not and calling something that's not is. People won't follow you when you do that because they see that you're delusional. You know, you ever had a situation where you see that what somebody's saying is just crazy, and you're like, you're deceived. But again, guys, that's the nature of being deceived. That's your catch-22. Because if you're the person that's deceived, you probably don't know you're deceived. You think you're right, but you're not. But you don't know you're not right because you think you're right. Get around somebody who can pull those covers off of your eyes and tell you the truth. Baby, that's not apples. That's oranges.
And that leads to point 3, the most important one. Reevaluate your definition of what?
A friendship. Reevaluate your definition. You know, I used to have a definition of friendship of trust and experience, I guess. You know, we've been friends since we were 4. I've been knowing that guy 15 years. When it comes to friendship, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that I base my definition of friends on. It says, like iron sharpens iron. You know how you take 2 knives and rub them together? It says, like iron sharpens iron, making one another sharper. So does a friend sharpen your countenance.
Right.
And so that's my definition of friend. If you don't make me better, if you don't sharpen me, then we're not friends.
Right. And there's nothing good, bad, or wrong about that. You're just have a clear-cut definition of who someone is in your life.
Right.
It doesn't mean that because you're not my friend and we know each other, that don't mean we don't serve ourselves and serve one another
Absolutely.
in some capacity.
Right.
You just understand who you need to spend most of your time with.
Right. People who make me better, people who make me sharper.
Correct.
And this is the thing I'll say as well. Everybody I deal with, I may be their friend and they may not be mine.
Correct.
I have mentors and coaches who make me sharper, but I don't make them sharper. So I understand that they don't need me. I'm not really their friend. I'm not that guy they call up to just hang out with and go to the movies because I don't make them better.
Right.
They make me better. So, you know, they're my friend, but I'm not theirs.
Right. And what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is taking the emotional side out of it so that you can see logically what serves you well and make you become better. Because this is not something to confuse with emotion. Because, you know, anything that enhances you, you better look at it through a clear-cut lens. Because emotion has a way of distorting everything.
Right. And remember, we're talking about your ability to be influential.
Correct.
And coming out of the last point, don't deceive yourself with excuses. Apples are not oranges. Having people in your life, remember we just said it, when you're deceived, you don't know it.
Correct.
That's the definition of being deceived. And so you need people around you that are better than you, smarter than you, that see further than you, that are stronger than you, that are able to make you better.
That's it.
So they can tell you you're wrong and listen to what they're saying.
And that has to be an internal choice that you make.
Right.
Because it's the only way you're going to accomplish that. Clearly setting aside the emotional aspect to create the logical side so that it will serve you to, one, create fruits in your life and have these, you know, bullet points that we're talking about manifest in your life. It is very, very important for you to cross this bridge of distinction where you now make this choice internally to understand what the clear definition of a friend is.
Right, and it's somebody that makes you better.
That's it.
Not, I've been hanging out with this guy since I was 7 years old. Not, I've known this guy since he was, since we were, last 10 years we've been buddies. No. I'm not saying you can't go fishing with your buddy. I'm not saying you can't go play basketball. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, call it what it is. That's only my basketball buddy. He doesn't make me better. I don't call him a friend. He's not anybody who sharpens me and makes my life any better than what it really is. That's just somebody I go play basketball with. That's okay, but at least you know that ain't the guy that's going to help you understand that you're deceived.
That's it.
That's not the guy that's going to help you increase your influence and increase your income.
Right.
That's not the guy that's going to help you be successful. You got to know that. That's just my basketball buddy.
That's it.
And you can't surround your life with people who are only your basketball buddy.
That's it.
That's only my shopping girlfriend. If all of your friends, if everybody you're hanging out with just feel this role of nominal, mundane activities, and that's who you're calling friend, a whole bunch of people that don't make you better, you're messing up. You're never going to have the influence that you're after. That is why people don't support you. That is why you're not becoming successful in the areas that you're trying to become successful in. You've got to redefine and reevaluate what you call a friend. And a friend is truly somebody that makes you sharper.
Yeah.
So we understand the difference between fruit versus intent. Number 2, don't deceive yourself with excuses. Apples are not oranges. Reevaluate your definition of friend. And number 4, beware of, again, self-deception in that phrase that we all use, I'm working on it. You got all these things wrote down, you're taking good notes, but when we get to number 4, everybody's taking notes and everybody's listening, and then everybody says, yeah, you're right, I'm going to work on it. And we don't want you to be deceived in that way. Don't just say I'm working on it. When you're really working on something, if I come up to you and, let's say you just said, I'm working on my relationship with my wife. And I'll ask a guy, oh, that sounds good, man.
Mm-hmm.
We all want a great marriage. Great, what are you doing? And they say, huh?
Well, you know what we're doing.
Yeah, that,
You start to fumble out of the tongue, and the going down the alley kind of.
Right, and I'm
instead
like,
of having clear, defined, steps and procedures that you're doing. To
right,
get
absolutely.
Certain results.
Yeah, so it's like, so you're not working on it.
Mm-hmm.
You hope that it gets better, but you're not really working on it because you don't have any goals.
And the interesting thing, sometimes it's done subconsciously where they just sabotage the whole thing.
Right. And think about the people when people say, I'm working on it. That's they're deceived. Mm-hmm. They feel good about it because they say that. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I've seen people with some of the greatest talent, most creative, will give you $1 billion idea. But when it comes to their task and growth and
Mm-hmm.
their development, they'll get to a certain point, come up with all kinds of other options to prevent them from growing.
You gotta have your focus. Somebody working out. If you tell me I'm working on my weight, Joseph, and I say, well, what are you doing? They say, well, I go to the gym on Monday. I just stopped eating a bunch of candy. I only drink water now. So they can tell me what they're doing. That's how I know that they're really working on it. So when you say I'm working on my business, what are you doing? I'm working on my marriage. Well, what are you doing? Well, you should be able to say, well, every Monday now I take my wife out. I don't yell at her anymore. I just started buying her flowers on Thursdays. You should be able to say what you're doing.
Right.
So guys, I'm telling you, these things right here will exponentially increase your ability to be influential. They will increase your ability to make things happen and go your way so you can be successful in whatever your endeavor is. Right. So we appreciate your time and attention, guys. Drive fast and take chances. Have a great afternoon. See you later.
All right. Take care.
It's the heart of a champion. It's the heart of a